Hey Anna,
Hey, Mike.
so we've just finished Billy's first 60 days of Antinol, and wow, what a difference.
Really? Oh my gosh, what have you noticed?
Well, he's shiner, he's much more energetic. Not that he wasn't beforehand, but you can see the difference. But remember, I told you he used to have that little limp in his back left paw that he'd hurt himself when he was a pup. But he
Yes,
doesn't seem
yes.
to do that much anymore.
What, the hop, skip, and the jump?
Yeah, yeah. So it's like his joints are a bit better. And we actually had friends around this weekend who'd noticed that there was something good about Billy. And I was telling them about Antinol, and they said, "Oh, what's in it?" I said, "Well, green lip mussel." And they said, "What's that?" And I go, "Oh, well, I don't know. I'll have to ask Anna," as I always do. So
Well,
for next
green,
time, what should I say? What's so great
well,
about green lip mussel?
green lip mussel, it comes from New Zealand. It's the only place that green lip mussels live. And what's great about the green lip mussel is that it is what's known as a broad spectrum source of omega 3. And the reason dogs need to take omega 3 is that their bodies don't make it themselves. So, unless they're getting it through, their diet, which can be omega 6 heavy. And it's very important to have a balance between omega 6 and omega 3. So it's normally through supplements that omega 3 is given. And green lip mussel is unique in its having everything from EPA, DHA, and ETA. So all the main omega 3s.
And how about Binks and Prudence? They must be much better as well.
Yeah, well, they've been on it for over a year and they've been on green lip mussel forever since I've had them. So Prue's 10 now. So she's had green lip mussel since the first day I brought her home, to be honest, but not Antinol. And I only wish I'd discovered Antinol earlier. I really honestly mean that because it's an oil rather than a powder. So its bioavailability, that means, its effectivity to get absorbed quickly and efficiently by the body is greater.
So people listening now and they want to discover Antinol for themselves, where do they go?
Well, all you have to do is go to Antinol, ANTINOL.co.uk, and then type in Anna Webb and get your special discount. Hello, I'm Anna Webb, and welcome to A Dog's Life. In today's episode, we're talking about euthanasia at home for your pet and why more and more people are opting for this option. Lisbet and Amber from Cloud9 Vets, welcome to A Dog's Life.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, so I love doing a double header because it's technically more difficult, but I like that. So, Lisbeth, shall we begin with you to explain a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today?
So we're going to be talking about home euthanasia, which you can say is something we've been doing that for the last 8 years. And we have vets all over the country, which can help and support when you can say the end of life, which is probably the hardest thing to go through when you have a dog.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
That's really where we are.
Is Cloud9 your company or do you work for this practice called Cloud9?
It's our company. It's our
Oh, Amber, brilliant. Let's bring you in. Oh my gosh, because it's a brilliant name, isn't it?
It's meant to give that some sort of. We're all about care and compassion, so it's not meant to be harsh. It's meant to be soft. It's we all face this, unfortunately in the Western world. We like to pretend we're immortal, but we all do face this, and it's trying to make things as bearable as possible when it's such a difficult and sensitive situation.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't bear it. I'm not very good at death, which sounds like a bit of a weird thing to say, but my track record is not being very good at death, not being able to accept it. And having to learn myself about, the grieving process, actually, because you're left alone, that's the thing, actually. When your pet dies, you're alone.
I mean, we lost our German Shepherd 3 years ago, so we know how hard it is. So that's really there where we've just got a puppy now after 3 years because we couldn't bear it before.
Yeah, no, I understand that, and they do say, the hair of the dog cure, is all about mending your heart and nothing at all to do with hangovers. Actually, it's something my dad taught me many, many years ago, but it is difficult. It's so difficult. But you've done research at Cloud9, I think, that it's quite interesting because it's the first research, I believe, that's been done about asking pet owners, pet parents, how they want to deal with that final goodbye. Do they want to go to a vet practice, or would they like for it all, to happen at home together with the family? And tell me a bit more, but I get the feeling that the research was very heavily weighted in Cloud9's favor to be together at home.
It was very weighted in favor of being at home. That does not necessarily mean in Cloud9's favor. It just means the concept of being at home.
Sure. Okay. Yes. Yes. But it's an interesting study to have done.
I think we did this study actually just before we started, and then we did a study again here last month, and it turns. I mean, it says that 94% would like to have it done at home when that time comes, and if you think of it, that all the thing with being at home with your pets, that will be, it's a calm place, it's an environment all the dogs would know. So at that point it would be something most would prefer if they know it's there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think it really minimizes stress for them, and that's never good. But particularly, if you're not feeling very well, that makes it a lot worse. And whether vets like it or not, vets get stressed. I'm sure they do actually as well, but pets get stressed at the vet. It's inevitable because, you can't trick a dog. I mean, they know exactly where they are, where, they're probably there for a blood test, which means, a pokey injection into their neck, or, some other procedure, which inevitably often means injections, doesn't it? Which are sore. So I'm all for, I'm all for that. I think for me, to be honest with you girls, I would say it's called a no-brainer.
Well, and that was one of the things of the research as well, because although the overwhelming majority wanted to be at home, I guess we'd want to be that for ourselves. So why wouldn't you want that for your pets? But 2/3 of people didn't realize it was actually an option for them.
Really? Really?
Yeah,
So I haven't read your research, which is very, very awry of me. But I just thought let's jump on and discuss it. So hang on a minute, 2/3 didn't realize you could do it. I'm lucky I'm in the know. I know about these things, but that's really quite surprising to me, actually.
Yeah. Well, I think the obvious thing for many people is they will go to their vet. Now, it's surprising as well how that affects pet owners, because it's often if they go to a practice, they unfortunately associate the last 15 minutes of death and not the 12 years of hell, which is a bit of an issue. But being in your own home, you are in that safe, that familiar environment. And we were asked about this, a good death. What is a good death? I don't actually think there is one.
No, no, you're right. There isn't, is there? There isn't, neither for us or ourselves. I remember my dad, for example, he just had a very sudden stroke kind of, he'd had a couple, so it was sort of on the cards, and he was watching England v Germany, and I know, and then bang, wiped him out. Awful, terrible shock to the family, very sudden. So, it was,
Yeah.
although it kind of wasn't, because he'd had some minor ones, so you put it into context, with people, because it's the same. And it was, it was, but it was best that way, really, as he wouldn't have coped if he'd been, unable to play the piano or something, so you've got to also think about quality of life sometimes, don't you, in the decision.
That's certainly one of the big issues. But I think if you're in the position where you're facing the inevitable, you have a terminal illness that you're getting worse, things are affecting just your whole life. It's important as a pet owner to try and stay in control of that as well, and not let the condition or the disease control you.
That's an interesting way of putting it. Explain that a bit more.
Well, if you say if you can see that your pet is deteriorating, and I'm going to use a real example. You've used your own cat. You were given advice that's turned out to be not quite right. Let's put it that way. Because as vets, they get things wrong. We all get things wrong. And one of the things that I certainly say to people is that the vet's got a clinical medical relationship with your pet, but you've got an emotional one. But if they are ill, you need to monitor that. You need to make a diary. You need to say, okay, are they weeing more often than usual? Are they sitting in that corner more often than usual? Because if you don't keep a diary of that, I mean, if someone said to me, what did you have for dinner the last 7 days? I'd have to think for ages.
Yes.
I can refer back to something and say, actually, Lexi doesn't get up as often as she used to. She doesn't come and welcome me as often as she used to. She can't eat the same volume, or she wheezes more. Then you're actually helping yourself make that decision. And if being in control, I mean, so that you are in control and a crisis doesn't happen at 3 a.m. in the morning, because then it is a crisis. Then you've lost control, and that's even more distressing and hurtful.
I know, but a lot can be done preventatively along the way, of course, often without, conventional veterinary help, but with holistic intervention, physical therapy support, nutritional advice, behavior tips, for example, as well as dogs age. Just as we age, we can get a bit forgetful, but that's not, or a bit confused. But for my mind, that's no reason to, prescribe euthanasia. That's my mind to prescribe, get on it, get on it, talk to people, work out ways of sharpening your dog's mind, and maybe it'll help sharpen yours at the same time, work with teamwork, and become interested in some massage therapy that can help with circulation, investigate perhaps some modalities that you can use in the home that are perfectly safe and scientifically backed, like red light therapy. There's so much you can do. Think about even using aromatherapy in the home as a way of, stimulating thought processes, relieving pain, working at an emotional level. So for me, being involved with the integrated approach, I feel there's lots and lots that can be done with your vet, at arm's length, dare I say, because they don't study any of this. So, there is a lot that can be done to promote longevity through the aging process. I always believe that age is but a number.
I totally agree. I totally agree with everything you have said, which is why I started saying when you're facing the inevitable, and I wasn't very comfortable with just a quality of life definition.
Yes, yeah.
You're so right. You can change so many things. We don't let our dog go up and down the stairs.
Well,
just
brilliant. I mean, maybe you should never let your dog go up and down the stairs, because
these
things, depending on the breed of dog, accumulate over time. Tiny muscular lesions build over time, and often the damage is done when they're a puppy. you
Yeah.
know. So
But
it's an interesting, massive conversation. But
and
I,
the thing, if we take our German Shepherd, which we lost 3 years ago, see, I was swimming with her till the last days, but she couldn't come up anymore, and she was just, you could just see in her eyes that she was just unhappy.
She was swimming with a life jacket on
So
to give her that aroma, the hydrotherapy.
so when you come to that, and you've done, and you know you've had a good life, you know that we've done everything we can to make her have the best life she could.
yeah, no, of course. I mean, look, none of us,
So,
we're not immortal.
so,
And
so that, I think, what's important to say. We would not put pets to sleep which is not ready for it.
yeah, yeah,
So that's really important. Uh,
yeah.
and it's important for our vets when they come out. They would always, together with the family, which have at that point more or less taken the decision. If the vet feels there's some chance that there's something another vet have missed or something, then we will send them back to the vets.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So it's interesting. So you have your team of vets as part of Cloud9 that when, somebody reaches out to you to say, look, I think it's the time and I'd like to book an appointment, please. You would then bring in one of your specialist vets to give a sort of second or third opinion on the dog or cat, I suppose. Also, I mean, guinea pig. I suppose all of it, I mean, we'll talk about that in a minute. The most unconventional pet that maybe you've helped cross onto the Rainbow Bridge. But is that right? Is that my right understanding here? So you bring in a vet to, offer another opinion.
What we'll do is when the vet visitors, let me start the call actually. So when someone calls, we never give advice. We give advice, we give guidance, we listen, we talk to them to find out really why they've called us. Because it's a very, very difficult call to make. We only work with euthanasia, end of life. When the vet, we do agree that the vet will visit them, the vet will then make an assessment while they're in front of their patient, their pet, their dog, their cat, their guinea pig, whatever it may be. They make that assessment then and then make an agreement with the family so that they're absolutely sure whatever course of action they're taking is right for the pet and for the family and for the vet.
Right, right. Yes, yes. Why also for the vet?
Well, because it's important that the vet is making the right decision that works for everybody.
Right, but it's not
Actually,
the vet's dog.
well, it's not the vet's dog, but when I say the right decision, I'm talking more about if there are some other treatments that should be used rather than going to a very drastic treatment. Our vets can. Some of them actually have given separate advice on behavioural issues, on when I say behavioural, I mean how they are around the house, on other more natural products than traditional veterinary. So they don't just go in and say, we've come for the euthanasia appointment and we're going to complete it. If there is a reason, a good reason that they think they can help that pet live longer, they will absolutely do that.
Yeah, yeah, no, good. And how does the pet's regular vet feel about that? Or is it their regular vet that comes out?
What we will always do is refer them back to their vet with guidance or advice from our vet that has visited them. So we won't take over the care of that pet because we've just come to their house today, yesterday, whenever it may be. We will refer them back to the vet with advice.
Mm, mm. Well, it's always good, to have second or third opinions, for in anything you're doing, whether it's a gardening project or, one person can say one thing and somebody else something, completely different. So and it's down to individual experience, knowledge, and vocation, really, I think. But that's all a different subject. But for me, the outstanding, message here is that most people don't know that they don't have to go up to their practice to put their dog to sleep. And I think that's is something, hopefully, by listening to this, that people know that there are these options.
Yes, that's where you can say that if we can bring that out to dog owners, cat owners, which is what we do most of.
Right. There must have been, maybe not, but I don't know, an incident of a different pet as well.
You asked about the most unusual
Yeah.
one. I think the most unusual one that we've had is a meerkat.
Oh, what? No, baby.
Not only that, Anna, we actually visited the same owner twice for 2 different meerkats. So that was
The
most
years
unusual.
between.
Yeah.
Gosh. So can you have meerkats as pets? I mean,
Well,
obviously you can.
they did. They did.
But I would say, and at 99.8% is cats and dogs.
Yes.
That is what we do.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is with small furries, it's so sad, actually. I've done quite a bit of research into pet rats recently, for example, as I'm quite fascinated by them. And thing is, I don't think I could have one. Well, I couldn't have one at the moment with my stray feral tomcat, a bull terrier, and an English toy terrier that was bred in the Victorian era to rid the streets of rats. I don't think it would go very well. I mean, Mr. Binks has killed several mice, actually. I love it. I encourage it because it's a natural instinctual behavior. However, we digress. And I used to, when I had my cat Gremlin, he was a real hunter, and Binks and Gremlin would, well, Binks would try and get in on Gremlin's mouse, and that didn't go down very well. So, and there'd be this argy-bargy between them about the mouse, and the mouse would get away, and then obviously Gremlin always nailed it. But that's when we lived in the country. Gremlin killed a lot of wildlife in Buckinghamshire, to be honest with you. But he was a cat with a high prey drive, so that's what they do, isn't it? And it showed he was well and athletic and very, very, very naughty. So I know, but so rats, they only live for 2 years. I mean, how heartbreaking is that?
Oh, that would be awful.
I know, because you build this relationship and it's too much.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a tortoise is a good pet to get because,
outlive you.
Yeah, exactly, or a parrot. But you'd have to obviously make, provisions. I mean, and that's the other, of course, that's sort of a different angle on all of this. The thing is, what happens if you die before your pets? I mean, it must happen. Car accident. I know, it's grim to talk about it, but I've got a will anyway, and my pets are in it on the basis, I live in London, I might get blown up or something, you've got to be pragmatic about these things. So I know that my animals have their guardians to go to if that were to happen. I'm really cheerful, aren't I? But it's not impossible. That's the thing. It's not an impossibility.
Oh, that happens.
Let's hope we get to the end of the podcast before then.
Yes, that's brilliant. No, thanks, Amber. No, you've got it. That's it. But I think, in essence, the thing is here is not to be too heavy about the situation, which of course is very heavy, but it's almost to think of it that somehow you have to deal with this. And, obviously, in a home environment, it's clearly the best, for your pet and for the whole family. I mean, the whole family can be there, which is nice. I mean, vet consulting rooms aren't the biggest spaces in the planet. So, how many people can you fit in an average one? Depending, actually, really. Three, maybe 4 maximoso, a couple of small people. So it's and then there's the issue, something as well, actually, I did want to raise, is this, right? So I did a podcast with this amazing American guy called Paul Kudanuras, who is a pet bereavement counselor. And he spent 11 years writing this amazing book, right, called Faithful Unto Death. I really recommend it. And he has visited every single pet cemetery in the world and just sort of analyzed, outpourings of grief for pets, not comparing them to humans, but I visited the massive pet cemetery in Paris, for example, and gosh, the outpourings of grief, they're more than you often see on human graves. So it's just this documented huge devastation. And so my point being here, okay, so Gremlin, my cat, died on a life support machine. I am probably the only person in the world that had their cat on a life support machine and they died on it. I mean, So anyway, but I didn't take his body home. I don't know why. I was so in shock because it wasn't supposed to have happened, obviously, right? And I'll never get over this. I don't think I will. Whereas with Molly, my first miniature bull terrier, she died at home alone. We were in bed together. I knew she was going to die that night because of this knowing, your pet. And she had a lovely day in the garden. Our physiotherapist had been around earlier, and it was Sherry Scott, actually, of TCAP. And she said, my dear, so that's how she speaks, my dear, she's gone into herself now. That's all she said. And I looked again at Molly and I thought, she's right. I think this is it.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, look, we were all together. Gremlin, Mr. Binks and me. Yeah. And it wasn't scary. It wasn't horrible. It was really just one big sigh.
But Anna, that is what we all would love it to be.
Yes. So I know I was very lucky.
That is where you'd say, fell asleep next to you. Can't be better.
That's right. And I think, if that, I know that can't happen in all cases, but I think it can happen in more cases than we think. I think so. That's just my thoughts on it.
No, but I would not argue with that. I think you're right with that it could happen in more cases, but there will be a lot of cases as well with that where there will be a lot of the pets which would actually be suffering. So if we're trying to move it more that way, there will be more pets as well which will be suffering. When we come out to a lot of the pets, some of them should have been put to sleep a week before.
Right.
So it's all what we want, and I would love Lexi to have fallen asleep next to us as well, but she couldn't walk anymore.
Right.
So I think it's a very difficult thing, and I believe that even though that the vets are the ones which can tell if our pets are suffering or not. I'm not saying they're always right, but if someone have called us and the vet are coming out, I would say everybody which wants their pet to be passing at home, they have loved and cared for those pets for many, many years. And it's such a difficult day. But to see when the pet passes away at home, they feel they've done the best for their dog at that circumstances they're in.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point. They've done their best for their dog at that point. No, I think it's great. I know in the olden days when, vets did used to, come to your home always, I know, then I know it was, something that could be done in your home way back, so.
In the 80s, that would happen.
yeah, going back a bit before that, actually, I'm in the 70s and my thought process here, but absolutely, no, of course, I mean, you look at, James Herriot and All Creatures Great and Small, is kind of based on that, but that was in the 60s, I think. I might be wrong.
Before then, actually.
Yeah, but gosh, I mean, yes. Oh gosh, girls. I mean, this has been a bit of a roller coaster, but you're very brave doing this, and this must take its toll on you, no?
Well, that's when we get to talk about compassion fatigue, because again, there's not many people ringing us up in great mood, but it's surprising that it's really gratifying to be able to organise that home visit that some people didn't realise was possible, and it's really rewarding to know that we've helped the owners say goodbye at home. It's for them, it's like a final act of love, because the most important thing in all of this process is the welfare of the pet. And the thing that Lisbeth was referring to, sometimes you might put your own feelings above the welfare of the pet because you think it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. But if you can put the welfare of the pet at the top of the list and we can help you say goodbye in the right way at the right time, that's really rewarding, and that compensates any potential compassion fatigue that might be there.
Yeah, no, that's really brilliant. And where are you based physically? But I mean, this operates on a nationwide basis, am I right?
Yes, we are most places where there's a good population, except in the south. So
Oh.
hopefully we're going to be there soon.
When we say the south, we mean the south coast. Ironically, we're based in Eastbourne, and we don't currently have a vet in Eastbourne or near Eastbourne. So there's some irony to that, but that's where we are. We're not a million miles away from London, and we're particularly well covered around the major cities, around the major conurbations, but not currently on the east coast. Oh, sorry, south coast.
So are you in London, for example?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a number of vets, and London's a challenging area because, of course, if we have someone north of Edinburgh or south of Edinburgh, it might be 20 miles will take sort of 20 minutes, whereas in London we need vets in different parts of the capital to cope with the traffic difficulties.
Well, definitely now more than ever.
Yeah.
Moan. Yes, it's all changed,
Yeah.
And we
Cars are the enemy now.
yeah, it was better in COVID time. We could help much better there and much quicker.
I know, but well, I mean,
So
yeah, let's not go there with
no,
everything.
we're around 65 vets
In
nation.
nationwide.
Yeah. And then we have care coordinators, which is the most important part of Cloud9 vets in a way. We're all the same, we're important, all of us. But the hard one is the care coordinators. They are talking to all the pet owners day out, day in. And they're just fantastic, to be honest. They are just, but they're as well feeling that they do a difference, which makes it then having a hard subject as end of life. Then when you do feel that you do a difference for so many families, then suddenly it makes it so much better.
And we know the strain and the potential sort of distress it can cause them, because for the first sort of 3.5 years of our business, it was primarily Lisbeth and I on the telephones all the time. Initially, we were open 24 hours a day, and that wasn't a good idea. Not just,
No, I mean,
not for the obvious reason, not just because it was us two. Our whole ethos is about a peaceful and gentle goodbye. But if you get a call at 3:15 in the morning, that's not about gentle and peaceful goodbyes. That's about a crisis. That's an emergency vet that you need, and we're not an emergency vet.
interesting point to clarify, in fact, right? Yeah. There are, so if your dog gets hit by a car, feeling pretty bad, but you need to get to an emergency vet
Yes.
for procedures, CT scans, whatever it might be. It might end there, but it also might not. But that's not the time to call you. No, I totally understand that. So, gosh, so how long have you been actually, operating as a business? And you say you've got 65, I would say telephone.
No vets. We've got vets.
65 vets nationwide. And you've been working for over 3.5 years.
No. Lisbet and I actually took all the telephones for the first 3.5 years. We started on the 1st of October 2017.
Right. Gosh, yes. So that's also interesting in terms of being, pre-pandemic, because I feel a lot's changed. Dog ownership's changed. Even, the types of people who own dogs has changed. Everything's changed, actually. I think maybe not all for the good, particularly in the world of dogs, but it's another huge conversation, not for now. So yes, that's a long time.
But when you start something like this from nothing, it takes a while just to get started, because you need the vet practices to get to know you. You need to get the vets to know you. So, I mean, in the beginning, when I spoke to vets, it was really difficult because they didn't know us. So it's all that to get started, which is, I think, probably the same for everybody which starts a new company or something. It takes time. And you need to deliver a really high service day out and day in every year, which is really important for us. We could have a lot more vets, but the important part for us is to get the right vets.
Yeah. And are these vets generally independent vets, or are they part of bigger, chains, groups, or is it a mixture
It's
of all of it?
very much a mixture of, but they're not. They're not coming from a vet practice where there's 5 vets from the vet practice which we use. We speak to everybody of the vets, or I do Zoom meeting for about an hour and a half to make sure the vets we actually get out is the ones which has the compassion. I mean, there's so many different vets, and it's important to get the ones which is comparing and they have the bedside manner skills as well.
Yeah, no, 100%.
That's important. And where there'll be some which will be good at something else.
Yeah, no, of course, yes.
So that's very, very, very important for us.
So I see. So you're like a service operator in a way, you know what I mean? Like, so, it's your service and you bring in the best people to provide that service, nationwide. So it's kind of, it's got your total passion, authenticity, commitment and compassion, as offering an alternative solution to simply taking your dog to the vet for it.
That's right. But it's also, we see for the practices, it's also a complement to what they're offering, not a competition, because many of them may wish to do that, but they simply haven't got the opportunity for whatever reason.
Sure, no, yeah, I mean, I get that, vets have opening and closing hours, some are 24/7, most aren't. So yes, I understand that.
So it gives them the opportunity to provide to the pet owners registered with them a home visit without them having to do it themselves. They use us as a trusted partner on the side. So it's something that sets us apart because we're not competing with the vet practices. We're being at home. That's our raison d'etre. That's our reason for being, to do this at home, and we have that holistic approach to everything, from taking time to listen, taking time to talk with the pet owner, taking time to understand what is going on, however long that may take. I was on the phone to someone this week for 45 minutes because that's what they wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, totally understandable. And I guess as well, just going back to, my point about, I'll never forgive myself for not bringing Gremlin's body back home, for the dogs to see, I mean, is that an option? I mean, I would imagine, of course it is, for people to, just have, the body. So it's weird, isn't it, even having this conversation? I mean, I love it, but it's hard. So that, because it's nice to have the body,
Yeah.
for a bit.
Well, the holistic approach that I mentioned, we talk about everything. So we do speak about aftercare as well. We would encourage people to make a decision about that before we visit them, because then they don't have to have it hanging over their head, but they can change their mind.
Yeah, of course. And that's the thing. I mean, you're dealing with emotions there that are kind of in a different plane where I think, to, be able to.
The same thing when you come to a home where there is more pets. As you say, it is important that the other pets know that the old dog of the house have passed away.
No, it was just funny with Prudence. Anyway, she ended up being at the vets a week after Gremlin because she went into shock. Anyway, long story short, she was there, where he'd been on the life support machine, and suddenly I just happened to say, "Where's Gremlin?" And then there were 2 rooms I'd never been into in the practice, and so she literally pulled me into this one room, and the vet said, "Crumbs, I think Gremlin might have come back, like cremated," but I hadn't been notified. So he said, "Shall I look?" And I said, "Yeah, well, let Prudence find him." Anyway, I mean, before, she had found him. She was at the cupboard where they were kept, the ashes. And sure enough, there was Gremlin. And then she was jumping up at the box and bashing it with her big nose, 'cause she's a bull terrier. And there we go. So, yeah, because the vet didn't know he was back. So I hadn't been offered his ashes. I just happened to say, "Where's Gremlin?" And Prudence found him.
Yeah.
And apparently they can with a recently deceased pet, because obviously these are cremated. I mean, I was like, is her nose that good? Anyway, and then we got home and I put them on the table and I just looked at Prue again and I said, "Where's Gremlin?" And she gave me that look that says, "I've already told you he's in the box. I don't," but basically I put it on the table so to get to it, she had to walk around the difficult way of the table, if you see what I mean. Not the easy way and so she walked around, sat beside, it, on the table. She was on the floor and looked at me, and I was like, "You really do know he's in there, don't you?" And so that blew my mind.
I think Hannah, one of your previous guests, where you mentioned him earlier, Paul Kudanaris.
Yes.
He's spoken about pets having a sixth sense.
Oh gosh, I love all that. No, listen, my favorite, well, the only scientist I really love is Dr. Rupert Sheldrake. At this point, Mike, my producer, will just be kind of going, "Oh no, Anna, please, no, no, please." So please listen, everyone, at this point to episode 1 of A Dog's Life, which I think, to be heartfeltly, absolutely honest, it will always be my most favorite episode because I revered Dr. Rupert Sheldrake really loads, and all the work he has done by flying in the face of conventional science to really prove the sixth sense, and that the paranormal is normal and the supernatural is natural. So yes, it's the short answer to your question. I'm all over it. I love it. I mean, I actually, after Gremlin died, I mean, putting it this way, I now actually think there could be something else, because I had so many sightings, red admiral butterflies. They still come when I'm very, very down. I found a red admiral butterfly in my bathroom the other week, not long ago. Red admiral butterfly was once landed on Prudence's head at a moment of despair, actually, with Baggy. I mean, loads. I'll put my arm out in the park and a red admiral will land on my arm. I mean, bizarre. I mean, this has never happened to me before. I mean, straight after Gremlin's death, so many weird things happened you wouldn't believe. I mean, I won't go there. Anyway, so I do actually, after Gremlin's passing, I believe there is something, I don't know what it is, but I, without a doubt, experienced signs and energetic communication that did indicate that it was Gremlin being in touch. Yeah, so that's all I can say. So
Well, that's why the ashes have been found. I'm sure that's why he found the ashes. Yeah.
yeah, well, part of the reasons why Prudence. I mean, it wasn't me that found the, but
Prudence found it, yeah.
but pets apparently can smell the ashes of a recently deceased pet. That has happened before, even though that seems remarkable and impossible because obviously they've been incinerated. Well, I hate that word, but Prudence has got a very, very, very good nose. She really has. I mean, a police officer actually wanted her to work on the force. Unbelievable. I know. Yeah, she's not a normal bull terrier. I've trained her to find the British truffle. She's bang on. Ignores everything, fox dens, badger dens, anything in the environment. She's just, I know what I've got to do. I've got to find this British truffle, and she does. And she has done. There aren't any nearby, really, and the whole hobby kind of ground to a halt in the pandemic. But it was just an interesting, fun thing to do. So she has. It's very interesting, actually. I might, it's interesting. No one knows if, a Labrador's sense of smell is any greater than a bull terrier's, any greater than a Chihuahua's. That sort of research has not actually ever been done. We all know that their olfaction is off the graph, but I do think certain breeds maybe are better at it than others. I don't know. And
I think there will be some. I mean, our German Shepherds have always been so good at. I mean, we could throw a stone in on the beach with a stony beach, and she would find that stone.
oh no, they're brilliant. I mean, of course, yeah.
So
Mm.
they're different, aren't they?
Oh no, all dogs have got a
Yeah.
huge sense of smell. I mean, cats have got a huge sense of smell. Whether cats have a better olfaction than dogs, we don't know, because what I love about cats is they haven't been studied to an inch of their lives. So there is still a bit of mystery about them and their connection to the universe, which I believe there is. I'm turning into a bit of an old cat lady, but I don't mind.
Why not? Why not?
But
Whatever.
listen, this is so lovely. So Cloud9, you operate nationally, really worth anyone listening, that we all have to face this. So I urge everyone to look at the links that'll be in the show notes and get in touch. I think your business is really, really brilliant, really thoughtful. You're filling a gap, particularly if 2/3 of all pet owners don't know,
No.
And I think the important thing about it as well, Anna, is it's what we do is very personal and very individual. There was one owner that I spoke to. They had a boxer dog called Loki, 15-year-old boxer dog, unfortunately suffering from osteosarcoma. And as it went on, Loki spent more and more time in or near the garden shed and seemed to get comfort from being there. Maybe it was cool, don't know. So they said this to us. We said, well, right then, do you want us to be at the garden shed in that case? And we did. We all went to the garden shed, the family, the vet, and it was the most peaceful thing because Loki felt very happy there.
Yeah.
So individual solution for every family is individual. So you need to try and make that solution work for them.
Yeah, exactly, as you would really for people.
Yeah.
Well, look, thank you. I think this is really brilliant. And certainly if I reach this point, which will be coming soon, Prudence is 10. I mean, I know it's not too bad, but Binks is nearly 14. Yes, I'd love you guys to help.
That's kind, and we certainly do all we can to do that.
And that's one of the other things as well, is that most of the times you do know when that time's come and you would push it, but sometimes it's actually good to talk before it's time.
Yes. Oh no, this is it. Well, planning, it's like making a will, isn't it? I mean, you know.
Because to talk before it's time, then you can go through all the things and say, well, I would actually like this and this and that. And then when the time comes, we have all those things. So then we don't need to ask all the questions when it's a really, really tough time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
your analogy is great because I've made a will, but I'm not intending to die.
No, exactly. No, I mean, that's right. I don't know exactly. But I mean, lots of people have a will. You know, that it's best to have one, really, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
Well, particularly if you've got animals, really, so that and a property, that you might not want your family members having it. So you have to have it.
It could be that you prefer it to go somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. To be sold and all the profits go to a charity. That's what mine's doing. But anyway, well, this is all brilliant. And let's come back on and do a regroup on this and see how everything's going. But thank you again for having this chat.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you for having a chat.
Pleasure to talk to you.
That's our show. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks again, of course, to Amber and Lisbet from Cloud9, also Mike Hansen, my producer, but also to Antonol for powering this episode. And if you want to find out more, check out the show notes and tap in Anna Webb at checkout to get your very special discount. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe because it's free. And that way you'll never miss another show. See you next week. Bye for now.